Monday, November 6, 2023. Before I do approval of the agenda, I'd just like to mention about the passing of Clay House. And just out of respect, I think we'll just honor a minute of silence just in Clay's name. So. All right, thank you very much. Take approval of the agenda, please. Councillor Norbury.
That the November 6th, 2023 regular council meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Noxana. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes for October 16th, 2023 regular council meeting minutes. Councillor Norbury.
That the October 16th, 2023 regular council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Clickash. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. October 23rd, 2023 special council meeting minutes. Recommendation. Councillor Dussault.
That the October 23rd, 2023 special council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Noxana. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. October 26, 2023 special council meeting minutes. Recommendation. Councillor Dussault.
That the October 26, 2023 special council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Hoffman. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. Any business arising from the minutes, council? Staff? Okay, delegations and petitions, Tumbler Ridge UNESCO Global Geopark, Manda Mags, Jenna McQueen and L. Kangas. Tumbler Ridge UNESCO Global in attendance regarding the Visitor Information Center activities over the past 3 years.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Since I don't have the remote, do I just say advance? Is that perfect? Okay. All right. So I'm hoping this will be quick. Don't be scared by all the writing that's on the slides that were handed out. We just wanted to start you off with some quick tourism statistics, just so you guys know what's going on over at the Visitor Center. We wanted to update the District Council on our recent activity over the last 6 years, and then summarize our fee-for-service agreement, because that agreement expires in February of 2024. So we figured we'd just come on in and tell you a little bit, give you some background, I guess, some context for what we do. Oh, thank you. All right, so we've been operating the Visitor Information Center since 2018. Jenna here is our operations manager, and she's managed the Visitor Center for that whole time. Done a great job. So just a little bit of background of what we do at the Visitor Center. We do take phone calls, email, and social media questions. We provide in-person visitor counseling that includes travel and safety advice. We do a little bit of education with Leave No Trace and Bearware. And then we, of course, provide maps and brochures, which is super popular at this Visitor Center. We also take what we learn here and we go to places like the Visitor Counselor Conferences. We advise Northern BC Tourism Association about what's going on. So there's a lot of coordinating there as well, some behind the scenes things. So like I said, this is Jenna, our operations manager. We also have 2 year-round staff, 1 casual staff person, and in the summer, we usually get 2 to 5 summer students, or 2 to 7 summer students, usually around 5 or 6 is sort of average. This year, we were only approved for 2, which you'll see later on kind of plays into some decisions we had to make. And then there's also myself in that building, in the offices there, and our geoscientist. And I just wanted to mention that everyone there, all of our Geopark staff as well, even the ones that don't work the actual visitor center side of things, we all got trained as visitor counselors so that any one of us can help people when we pick up the phone or go out and talk to them in person. So the fee-for-service agreement with the district renews every 3 years. The last renewal was in 2021, so this one ends in 2024. So next, please. So a little bit about tourism in Tumbler Ridge. It's been changing quite a bit. The district's tourism strategy, which comes up next year as well, has had a strong focus on geoheritage. We had COVID-19 in that time frame and all the residual effects that have happened since then. There was the Game of Thrones project in 2019, and of course we've been dealing increasingly with wildfires. There's new regional priorities and strategies that we've been adapting to, and then we also had our successful revalidation. We got our green card for our UNESCO status in 2018, and then again in 2022 last summer. And of course, Tumbler Ridge, the town itself has been changing in terms of tourism services. So we've got mountain bike trails and the pump track. We've got disc golf coming up. We've got more of the heli tours happening, food options on serve. So there's that. A little bit about things that we do at the visitor center, because I know a lot of you come in and do some shopping there, or come in and say hello sometimes, or have meetings in the basements. We collect stats on visitors. You can see any of those stats for free online. I gave you the website there, so you can check those at any given time. We upload them usually daily, whenever we can. We attend regional and provincial conferences, trade shows, strategic planning sessions to represent Tumbler Ridge. We have a vendor program where local artists and makers get to sell their stuff in the visitor center. We offer a free for locals equipment lending program with our bikes and skis. And then we also have a trail accessible wheelchair that we also lend out. We do community events at the visitor center, like Indigenous Peoples Day, Home Roots concert, art shows, those kinds of things. And we also do, this is where we stage a lot of our Geopark programming. Because it's such a nice flexible space. We've got that outdoor space with the interpretive trail behind it, as well as that nice indoor conference room downstairs, the big open room. We host other clubs quite a bit in our meeting room. We've been hosting the district more regularly this year, and we also guide around delegates that come to Tumbler Ridge either as part of field trips for conferences. We bring in students on school field trips. We also take out people like medical staff or potential medical staff. And then we also host sometimes guests such as authors, media personnel, influencers, people who write blog posts to tell them all the best things about Tumbler Ridge. Yeah, and then as part of the Geopark, but also part of the visitor center, we contribute to a lot of content for local clubs that are seeking information about Tumbler Ridge itself, things that they can use to flesh out their own programs. Next, please. Oh, there it is. So this is our visitor data over the last 6 years. So it's by month, that's how it's organized. So red is this year. There's some obvious blips on there that I just want to explain. So like that blue blip, which was 2019, that was the Game of Thrones throne. So that's why it looks a little anomalous there. And then that other one is in August 2020. That was when everybody took up hiking because they couldn't do anything else during COVID. So that was mostly things like phone calls and when we had our visitor center open. There's a few empty spots like in April and May of that year as well where we had to do some closures for COVID. And then of course there's no stats this year for November and December because they're still yet to come. So that just kind of gives you an idea overall of where we're at. Overall, over the last 6 years, we've had almost 16% increase over last year, and then and that's still with 2 months left to go. And then, yeah, by the end of this year, we expect to see, if the trends continue, an overall increase of about 27% over the last 6 years. So it just kind of gives you some ideas of visitor behavior. We also hosted, next please, yeah, oh, thanks. We host, oh, sorry.
It's worthwhile mentioning that, and I think you all know this, that through COVID, we were one of the few visitor information centers in BC that were able to stay open. And we were the only visitor information center that had an increase in visitations by tourists, which is just fantastic.
Yep.
It certainly puts out there what a good job the town did in continuing to attract people, and how good a job they were doing at the visitor center in being able to get people there to understand what we had to offer from a COVID standpoint. So
Yeah, and of course, throughout all of that.
feather in
yeah.
everybody's cap.
You betcha. And throughout all that, of course, we had to keep up with our social distancing and our sanitizing protocols as well. So that was obviously an experience for everybody. We also hosted, I know some of the counselors attended the data summary from the master's student that we brought in here to look at tourism in Tumbler Ridge. She was a student from UNBC doing her master's on Tumbler Ridge tourism. So some of these statistics she shared with us, so these should come as no surprise to the folks that attended hers. So right now, visitors are staying an average of 1.5 nights, so that's 3 times longer than 2018 numbers. So we're getting longer stays, which is really good in terms of bringing money to the community. About 45%, so almost half of our visitors, are repeats, and about 1/3 of those have visited 3 or more times. And a lot of those come back annually. They make it their annual, they attend the fishing derby, or they always come here for August long weekend and do the Murray River or something. 77% of first-time visitors said they would make plans to come back again. A lot of the people who said they don't are international visitors who are doing like a bucket list thing up the Alaska Highway. So that totally makes sense. And this was an interesting one. So 88% of visitors stay in paid accommodations, so hotels, Airbnbs, and campgrounds. Next, please. Top reasons to visit that are reported: nature-based recreation comes as no surprise. It's why most of us live here. The dinosaur footprints and fossils, as well as folks who are into road tripping. And the top attractions for nature-based recreation are, of course, the maintained hiking trails. The museum is a big highlight, and then Canuso Falls is our biggest attraction for those folks in their cars. Next, please. So other stuff you might not know, we distribute about 10,000 visitor guides each year that the district prints. We ship those to any airport, hotel, or visitor center that requests them, so we don't just send them out and hope, like shotgun approach, like people have to request them. And we've been going through a lot of those visitor guides. We hand out about 45,000 trail brochures annually, so that's in person, and then we also have them available at the trailheads. Our operations of the visitor center and activities such as data collection counts positively towards our revalidation with UNESCO, so it is also part of our mandate to do the things that we do at the visitor center. So when UNESCO comes again in 2026, those are the kind of things that they really like to see, is that we have like a good public interface, that we know what's going on with tourism, and that we have a hand in its sustainability. All of our staff are trained to coach visitors to be safe and prepared. And then we've got staff attending crisis communication planning training through Destination BC this year. So that's to help mitigate during a crisis. So things like the wildfire situation when we had evacuation. So there's a communication plan for the people who don't actually live here, because that's your emergency crisis planning. But there's also people out there at campgrounds. Some of the campgrounds are not manned. They're out fishing, and those are the kinds of things that we think we should probably have a plan for.
So 45,000 trail brochures a year.
Yeah.
That's not being used as fire paper or fire starter. People are actually, they're being handed out to people, a person in a group or to everybody in a group.
Yeah.
And it's quite a few people.
Yeah, and some people like them not just as like how to get to the trailhead and what to do when they get there, but they take them as a souvenir as well of I did, this trail. Helps them keep track, I guess. The next slide is a lot of quotes that I just pulled off of our Google reviews. So I highlighted some of the ones that I thought were just very positive and indicative. I'm not going to read all that. But basically, our visitor center is very highly thought of around the province, and we hear that a lot from visitors, is that it's nice, it's clean, it's open. They love that beautiful log building, and they love that it's open 7 days a week, usually, which we're not right now, as most of you may know. Yeah, so actually I'll address that right now. So like this summer, we only got 2 summer student positions approved, as I think you guys also saw a reduction in the amount of approvals for summer students, so did the museum. So what we did was we borrowed hours from our winter, like staff hours, because we weren't able to cover another student. So it was either reduce services in the summer or reduce hours in the winter. So we've chosen to reduce our hours in the winter. So that's why we're closed Monday, Tuesday right now. Yeah, so other stuff you might not know. So the fee for service we receive from the district helps us maintain our UNESCO status without having to approach you for additional operational grants. So I think it's mutually beneficial, the fee for service agreement. We've been operating the visitor center with the exact same funding contribution of $150,000 annually since 2018. So that has not increased, even though tourism has increased, even though inflation has increased. So this is kind of what we're getting to the meat of, like when we go to renew our agreement in 2024. These are the kinds of things that we're just hoping you take into account when we put our proposal forward. So we have definitely seen like a little bit of a crunch. We've streamlined where we can, and we've definitely been tapping other sources to bring in revenue. The increased tourism has actually helped with that a lot because we're able to sell more merchandise and more visitor commissions. So some of that does increase with the visitor numbers, but also some costs increase too, like the printing, things like that. So more a little bit about here, I just wanted to give sort of a bit of context. So minimum wage, since we started operating the visitor center, is up to about 21%. We never used to be a minimum wage employer, but we are now, just because that's kind of how we have to do it. We're very lucky to have great staff though. And our regional livable wage has gone up about $2 an hour. So the only stats that I can find that were reliable for Dawson Creek. So sorry, that's what I reported. Again, I mentioned this before, the summer student grants, we only received about 2/3 of our Canada Summer Jobs funding. We're hoping that that's not something that continues into the future because that certainly helps a lot. Travel and training costs, mileage rates for the Canada Revenue Agency are up about 24%, and the costs of printing and postage obviously have gone up quite a bit as well. So that's just sort of some of the realities that we deal with. We love operating the visitor center. It's a really great home base for us. It allows us to do a lot of the things that we need to do in the community, and it gives us like a really good place to interface with our community. Yeah, I think we've developed a lot of really good relationships, like Jenna with the vendors over the years. We're pretty much full. I don't think there's really any other way that we can fit in unless someone sells very small things. And I know that our local nonprofits certainly appreciate the deal that we give them on the commission costs and things like that. So, so basically, the reason for our visit today was to put it out there to think about. It doesn't have to be necessarily today, but we're wondering, what does council want to see as far as information beyond what I've shown you today, in like that would that you would like to see in a proposal to operate that fee-for-service agreement again?
Perfect. Thank you very much for coming in and presenting to council. I think there's some good information in there.
Yeah.
I guess my only comment will be that the information came late.
Oh, what's
So
that?
I received mine this morning via my email.
Oh, yes,
So the
I'm very
package
sorry about that.
Yeah, so the package you presented tonight came late. So it gives us a hard time to read through a lot of it and then dialogue it for myself anyways, can't speak for council. So just, it's nice to have it early if we can.
Certainly.
Questions from council? Councillor Julik.
This is probably more of an answer to your question, because I know this is a lot of work for you guys to put those proposals together. I would be looking for why you, like what makes you the best proponent of doing the job. A pretty detailed list of what it is that you do, particularly around the tourism structure, the pamphlets and stuff.
Yes.
And how that works. I think it's just really good to give us all a fairly good background. Like I have a good idea just because I was part of the board, but I think it's really important to do that. And I would also like to see you put an annual increase so you don't run into this deficit thing in the future. You know, whether that's the cost of living increase or whatever, but something like that. Like even if you put it as an aside, this would be our preference, but this is what, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
Be pretty strategic in it is what I would say. Thanks.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Council? Councillor Clickash?
Yes, I'd just like to know when the interpretive center is finished, are you moving over there from the visitor center or?
So right now,
gonna work?
sure, the only staff member that's going to be moving over there is our geoscientist. He's currently sharing an office with Jenna actually at the moment. So that will be his base, and that's where our science-based programming will be out of. There is only one office space over there.
Okay, so will a lot of the sales items go over there too, or are they gonna stay in the visitor center?
They will stay in the visitor center. That's going to be our main point of contact for visitors. So the Geo-Interpretive Center will be sort of a secondary, almost like the museum. It's an attraction more so than an information center. So like the museum does our paleontology and our human history, our center will be a little bit more like a science center, sort of adding to what we have here in Tumbler Ridge, but the majority of that space is dedicated to interpretation of the geology and the geological heritage of the area.
And is that going to be funded through the visitor center, or how is that gonna be funded?
No, we have, so what I've presented, so we have sort of two main sides of our budget at the Geopark. So we have our Geopark operations, which will be funded through the Peace River Regional District because of that service function that we had go through last year during the referendum. So that's for Geopark activities. So that funds our salary for our geoscientist. That funds a lot of our programming. We also have significant sponsors for our programming. So we do have other revenue streams. This is probably about half of our revenue stream. So the money that we get from the fee for service goes to run the visitor center. The only thing that it pays for in terms of the Geopark side of things is half my salary and half of Jenna's salary.
Thank you.
But the rest of that is shared with the Peace River Regional District.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Julik?
Sorry, when's your fee for service up for renewal?
February 9th, 2024.
Thanks.
Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Krakowka. I'm much easier to please than Councillor Julik. I would just like to see your numbers with reasonable cost increase, because I know last term we ran into some issues where we had some unforeseen rise in costs, and I do think it's important to plan ahead to make sure that we're keeping all the people that are over there happy and that built in, because it's hard to ask for more when there's already a contract in place, right? We get into different things there. So I did have a couple of questions. One specifically on stats on local trails. Do you guys get access to any of the information, or can you?
Yeah, so WNMS has put out, I believe they have 11 trail counters now, and they have been very good about sharing that data with us. So we get some information from like the Snowmobile Club sometimes, especially with our new Outdoor Recreation Association here in town. So the Geopark has a dedicated seat on that new board. And so we get a lot of that information anecdotally. Some of those clubs do not have trail counters, but they let us know when things are being trashed or increasing or decreasing. That actually used to be sort of the function of our Tourism Advisory Council that was the districts. That hasn't been meeting for a couple of years. They met the first year that I came here, I think in 2020, but that Tourism Advisory Council isn't in existence anymore. So the Outdoor Recreation Association, I guess, is sort of a placeholder for that, or is becoming that, because that is where the Geopark and these 4 main outdoor rec clubs sort of share information.
Because my thought would be, I know we hear about people come use our trails and then don't come into town. I'd love to see what the comparison there is, and if we can come up with a strategy on how we can direct them into town, because we definitely want to see some return on our investment of keeping that infrastructure there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be great to,
So I'll just speak kind of towards that. In previous years, we've had the pleasure of hiring up to 6 summer students. In those years, they've kind of went out to multiple trailheads, kind of collecting data, spreading the word, giving information at the trailhead, as well as cleaning up the trailheads. So that was really beneficial to us because it kind of gathered all that information, bring it back to us, allowed us to kind of reevaluate where we need to direct our services. And in turn, it directed people back to town, kind of giving that information, what businesses we have here, what we really are striving to do, what other things that they can come back to do. So unfortunately, this year we didn't have the funding from the federal government summer student program, so we had to cut back, but definitely something we want to bring back into place.
Yeah, and through those surveys, we actually know, because we ask them, did you stop at the visitor center? Because these numbers are just people who called us directly or contacted us directly, either by walking in the door or sending an email or making a phone call. So we do know through those surveys at the trailheads that about 1 in 10 people at the trailheads actually come to the visitor center. So that gives you like sort of a way to estimate or sort of guess at what our actual visitor numbers are, because not everybody's coming to the visitor center, especially since we know a lot of them are repeats. They already know where they're going. They've already got their visitor guide. They can get the brochures at the trailheads, and they know this. So some of those folks are not coming into the visitor center and aren't getting counted. There's definitely strategies in place, and I would say that Northern BC Tourism Association has been certainly working hard on that, and they've been like really great advocates of Tumbler Ridge. They love what we're doing here. They've been sending dollars our way, and certainly helping us get that exposure to not just tourists. It's not just a quantitative thing. We also want high quality tourists coming here. We want people that treat our trails well, and we want people who are going to stay and spend some money. So it's been really great working with them as well to try to bring in those folks from out of town, and they've been working with us on the strategy of doing sort of broader strokes marketing and things like that on our behalf.
So what we have found is 1 in 10 visit the visitor center. How many people did we have come through the visitor center last year? Approximately.
Approximately,
Top of your head.
yeah,
14,000.
yeah.
So 1 in 10, 14,000 went through the visitor center, 1 in 10 visit the visitor center. So if you can believe 140,000 people went through the trails, that's what our stats. Now, agreed, they're just pictures of time, but that's what it says.
Yeah, and of course, like, we can't be open 24/7, so there are certain people who will come here and they want to start hiking at 6:30 in the morning. So they're not going to get counted, but they might take a brochure from our brochure rack outside that we make available with all of our most popular things. So there's a lot to it, and we certainly, when we go to these conferences and things, we learn lots about how other visitor centers are dealing with, especially this data gathering, and how to retain those high quality tourists for longer.
Paul,
I have another question, but I can wait for others.
go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I don't want to monopolize everyone's time, so give some people other chances. You're mentioning that you do site visits for medical professionals. Who's your point of contact there? Because
Usually Charles.
that was my guess. I had him
But
written down here.
not just, like, we've had requests from the district as well to bring through some people and just give like a short 15-minute talk, or we walk them around the interpretive trail, just to give them sort of like the best of what Tumbler Ridge has to offer.
Great. Follow up?
I'll give,
Okay. Councilor Julik?
Sorry, it looks like I'm monopolizing. I just wanted to point out BC Parks also has counter out at Monkman, so the staffing's starting to get a little bit more reasonable. So I don't know, you might be able to reach out to them for numbers, or you can ask me and I can see if I can do that. But I think you guys have a pretty good relationship with them guys. Also, if you see when you ask about what part of your information, if there's something that council can do to help. Not council, the district can do to help curate those numbers. If those numbers are important, particularly getting funding dollars from DVC or somebody, let us know. Because I often think from when I operated the RV park, when you now say 1 in 10, I didn't keep track of those numbers because I assumed everybody was going there, even though I sent everybody over there. But maybe, you know, that's something that, you know, the Lions or ourselves, like at the RV park or something, we could get those numbers too to help with those numbers. Because I don't remember how some of that funding comes your way, but you know, if those numbers will help, and I think if that's something that we at the district can, we as council can help you with, that'd be great information to have as well.
Yeah, actually, we partnered with the district in 2021 to do that giant mobilescapes data gathering. So that was something that Jesse and I think, wrote the grant for. So there's already like a pretty good partnership when those funds come along. I think we've got a really good relationship with your ECDev department. So we've definitely put some of those things in place already, and we'll definitely do so in the future when we see those opportunities come up.
I got Councilor Norbury and then myself.
There was a time when we talked about the strategy of funneling visitors downtown. And the plan was the visitor center to the interpretive, the new geo-interpretive center, and then through the downtown core. And there was talks about rejuvenating that kind of walkway. That's the path towards downtown. Is that still on your guys' radar at all? Or yeah, it was your predecessors, so I can't blame you if it's not still on the radar. But I'm just kind of curious if that's anywhere in your peripherals.
So again, yeah, like you said, I think that was something that my predecessor had made a priority. I understand there's been a new downtown revitalization plan strategy created, which I'm not familiar with at all, but I'm all for it. I walk through that walkway all the time, headed to the bakery or the grocery store. So yeah, no, I think it's lovely. And if the Geopark can help in any way and be part of that, and because, yeah, you're right, that corridor was why the Geo-Interpretive Center was placed exactly where it is, to bring everyone from that side of town to the downtown core. So yes, absolutely.
Good. All right, thank you very much. But yeah, I got a couple questions for you, a couple comments too. So the Geo-Interpretive Center was, the first design was actually, that was the concept. Right, it was actually, that was supposed to be the mark of the path. And I know that's changing, and I understand why. I mean, you know, you can have a plan put forward, and it doesn't mean it won't change throughout the time, which it has. So I guess my comments will be the summer student concept. When you hear about it, we need to know sooner. So I know I got into it a little bit late with staff, and we realized it. And by the time we started working on it, the time it takes, we just couldn't rectify that situation, which I felt bad, not only for the Vic Center, but for the museum, and then obviously for our own community. But my comments back to the government, well, Bob Zimmer, was really, don't worry about the District Tumbler Ridge. We need to help these two organizations out. Like, this is what they're used to getting, and you've cut this many people off of them. This is what it's going to mean. They're not going to be able to do this, they're not going to be able to do that. Just wasn't enough time to circle that around to get more staff hours or amounts.
I appreciate you talking to him, because, yeah, that was a big blow this summer. I know we both had issues keeping the same standard of programming, and you know, that's, we've set the expectations pretty high. We need to be able to have the resources to keep that up.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I mean, I think, you know, being short summer students, I think you guys did an amazing job having that concept with your board or whatever to look at shortening the hours in the winter, to try to offset the summer, to assist the visitors that come to Tumbler Ridge and try to keep doing what you had already set the high standard. So, but if we can, you know, reach out to me sooner. That's, you know, 100%, that's my job to work with you guys and, you know, as council and myself. But, you know, I've already been on Bob Zimmer's radar that we don't want to see a cut. We need added numbers for the two organizations, in my opinion. So
Thank you.
hopefully that'll come to fruition for you guys. When you talk about the distribution of the visitor guides, are we double doing it? Because I also know, and it was our previous act dev was sending stuff out to the airports and stuff like that. So are we double shipping? Do you know?
No, it's like sort of a, well, Jesse can answer that as well, but no, I
Oh,
think,
you're the delegation. You get to answer.
yeah. Sorry, I thought she might have been putting her hand up behind me, but no, so I think some things get shipped directly from the printer, but when they come to us, they get stored in the basement in our storage room downstairs. So from that point on, if Fort St. John Airport wants some, there's definitely been some assistance there. So if we know that, say, Jesse or a counselor are heading to Fort St. John for a meeting, we might ask them to drop off a few boxes. So it's definitely still a bit of a partnership there. You know, we try to do the best we can to reduce, because especially the postage has increased a lot on those. Like, how much is it a box? $40 a box to ship now? It's crazy. So yeah, we bug our staff, we bug whoever we need that we know, oh, you're going to Grand Prairie. Okay, stop by the visitor center before you go and I'm going to load you up. So we also went with the district to do like a FAM tour around all the different visitor centers. I think that was 2 years ago now, and that was really good as well. And we took visitor boxes with us everywhere we went. So.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I can speak for all the council. We all have visitor guides when we leave town. Whether it's UBCM, FCM, whether I go to a PRD meeting, everybody gets a Vic guide. So
That's awesome.
Same with our ministers. It's one of the big things. I mean, I think it's an amazing job, the printing that we've done and the organization of it from staff side. But then to make sure that we're, you know, assisting you guys to try and draw those people in and, you know, allowing the VIC staff to leave work and assist us in trade shows at the UBCM and the FCM.
Yeah.
I think that's fabulous too, that partnership there. Obviously, you know, has a background of the VIC Center. I mean, ActDev does an amazing job too, but to have those two work together like that, you can obviously see that there's that working relationship already. To me, I'm kind of like Councillor Nobre. I don't need to see a whole bunch of stuff in their proposal, but I think we all realize that amounts have gone up, whether it's the wages, the overhead costs, and the staffing, and whatever else there is. You know, when you talk about training and stuff like that, I think we'll see the first year will probably be a hit, but I think you need to look at the second and the third year, not just like let's not just look at an increase in year one and you're asking for an extra 50 grand or whatever it may be. Yeah. There needs to be that increase so that we're not down, and it's not your guys' fault. You know, I'll take some of that blame that you don't realize that when we sign these long agreements, fee for services, that, you know, whether it's wages going to go up, minimum wage, but it's other things too. Travel goes up, all the courses go up. I just think we forget about that. Hey, listen, we need to do an increase if it's, you know, if it's $5 grand or 10 grand every year, because then it helps offset that thing.
Tax goes up, yeah.
Yeah, 100%, right? So, and the other thing, I'll be honest, is this council has yet to have the opportunity. Previous council, I know it set it back out to have an RFP done for the visitor center. I'm not saying that's what this council is looking at, but we definitely need to have that discussion so that it's straightforward what this council wants.
You betcha.
It's just, I'm not, you know, I want to be straightforward with you. That conversation doesn't happen, but the conversation needs to happen so you guys would know as well. But I think you've done an amazing job running the Vic Center on our behalf. To me, I think we've seen the numbers increase. Working with our local artisans, going into the Vic Center, you see all that. It's a lot of local stuff. You hear about that. Hockey, Team BC was here. I know staff worked very hard at getting bags together. And I know hearing from them in regards to what the Geopark has done and our museum, hats off. Thank you very much for what you guys partaked in those bags. So again, there's that partnership, right? So again, I want to thank you for that. I think that was well received by the team members and the coaches. But it doesn't happen without people that come forward like that. I never expected that. So thank you for what you did over there. So I don't have anything else, but yeah, that's, I mean, again, we know that the numbers have to go up. The only other concern I have, I guess, would be the bottom of the Vic Center.
Oh,
And I just need to hear, I guess that there's a rumor, and I want to set the rumor straight because I don't like rumors. After hours, is that available to be accessed?
yeah.
Okay.
The building is the district's building. You do what you want with it.
Yeah, our fee-for-service agreement does make provisions for the district to use it. So I came and had a meeting with Mr. Woodward. I don't know, it must have been about 3 weeks ago now, just to say, like, you know, there's a few things in that agreement that aren't very well fleshed out. So like a key holder, for example, for the district would probably be a good thing to appoint. There was just a few adjustments that we felt probably needed to be made about expectations and things like that, but I think we worked that out. I would just suggest that if we are going to be doing a new agreement, that's just in it. Because it's in there now that you guys can use it, but yeah, things like after hours use are very much not specified. So I think it would just be better for everybody to have that sorted out.
Okay, and I appreciate those comments, and that's why I asked that. It wasn't, you know, it was just, there was a conversation maybe that we, you know, couldn't be in after hours because, and again, you say key holder and stuff like that, so.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be looked at for sure. And I guess the other thing, I guess, is in that agreement, or even before the agreement, supplying a list of what is yours downstairs. So I know when it was first built, first designed, it was designed to have conferences and workshops and training down there. I know the district had put TVs and stuff. We had removed them. I'm pretty sure we know that. But we've also been looking at redoing to make it user-friendly, not to have meetings down there or a work session down there and we can't hear anybody.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're talking about redoing that down there, but we don't, obviously, I don't know what's your equipment, and I'm not sure if staff does, but even if you just work with staff so they know what is yours. So whether it's, we have a usage agreement for those pieces of equipment, and we add more equipment to it, and then obviously a usage agreement for yourselves, for other organizations that you allow to use it. So just so that we know what's there.
Yep.
That'd be the only thing I'd ask.
No, absolutely. I think that's a really good idea. Just so that we know, everybody knows what we're responsible for. I do think that a lot of that equipment, like, it's still very functional, but it's, I think, original to the building. So some of it could definitely use some upgrades, for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely talking about that.
And to add on to that, we do have a rental agreement policy, so if any outside groups want to use that space, they are more than welcome. So they just pay an additional fee to have staff there for the additional time. But we worked with the previous CAO, Jordan Wall, at the time to kind of collaborate and work what works best for us to generate revenue, as well as to make sure that district and nonprofits have that use of that space as well.
Perfect, appreciate the comment. Okay, any other questions from council? Perfect, well, thank you very much. Again, thank you very much for coming in, and if I can just maybe nudge you a bit, it'd be nice to have the Geopark come in and give us an update, especially in regards to the Geopark Interpretive Center, the trailer usage,
Sure.
and stuff like that. It'd be great to have the Geopark in as well, not just the Vic Center side.
If we can just say, give us a couple of weeks, we'll be able to go over there and take a look.
Yeah, and that's fine, Al. It'd just be nice to have an update from the Geopark side of it. I know sometimes it's hard, like I want to talk about Geopark stuff here, but I know what you're here for the Vic Center side. You know, it's tough that way, but if we can just get the Geopark to come in, it'd be great too.
Certainly.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, next delegation is the Lions Club of Tumbler Ridge. Bob Rhymes, President of the Lions Club of Tumbler Ridge, in attendance. Flatbed Creek Campground campsite fees and seeking clarification on lease agreement clauses. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having me in. I'm trying to keep this as short and painless as possible. As the mayor had mentioned, there's only 2 items on this agenda tonight. We're looking to increase the campsite fees at the Lions Flatbed Creek Campground from $20 a night to $30. And if you look at, I think the Lions have been great stewards of that park over the years. If you look at some of the accomplishments, I done a little interview with my predecessor. He goes back to 2011 when they built the playground, the Lions built the playground, and the mayor remembers that. And So Lions bought and paid for. There was in-kind labor provided by the district. Thank you for that. The old unit was dug out and they put a new base in with crushed stone. The Lions resurfaced all the campsites, and paid for the contractor with a grant of about 50% and $10,000 worth of gravel from the district. So the district and the Lions Club have worked together a lot on this particular campground. We replaced siding on both the equipment shed and the maintenance building. We find now the maintenance building is in need of some repair, big time repair. And we've been talking with the district senior management on how we proceed with that. We did have opportunity and still have for the Lions Club to cover part of that and what I call a short-term plan to renovate that building and to get it up to speed so we can be ready for the 2024 season. That's hit a bit of a roadblock at this stage of the game. I'm sure it'll move ahead. So the Lions maintains the park. We have a ride-on John Deere supplied by the district. We have our own members on that John Deere and our own members pushing mowers and looking at the grass whips. Lions provided all the labor to cut this grass and a park maintenance, park attendant. Park attendant gets a stipend from the Lions Club for being there 24/7, and according to the lease agreement we have, we can't not be any more than 1 hour away before responding to a call. So it's a very dedicated position, and we've had some trouble getting people to step up to the plate. We have around 33 members. A lot of them are on the elderly side to a point where they're not so keen on spending 24/7 in that campground. So we're having a Lions membership drive coming up here. You're going to hear a whole lot about that again, trying to get some new blood to come into the Lions Club and help us out. We need help. We need help. People that are 30, 40 years old, the people that are 70 and 80 years old, for sure, they're very welcome and they do all that they can, but there's some of them that are saying, well, you know what, I can't really help out here. Well, like I say, you can help out even if you come and give us the support. You don't have to do anything, just talk to the people. So anyway, I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the detail other than to say that the mayor, I think, was the first person, he belonged to the Lions Club and still in good standing, and he was the first person to sign up the first camper coming into the campsite on Lions Flatbed Creek Campground. And we've still received a lot of support from the mayor on this club. So I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to really bore you with any more detail than that. But the biggest issue is with $20 a night for the campground. When we look at doing a bit of a survey, and this was requested by the district, and everyone in the North Peace is charging $30 and $40 a night for campsites, and that's providing showers and bathrooms, which is exactly what we have down there. There's no refunds issued and for no shows, and if you change your mind, sorry. And it's especially prevalent that we went to online registration. With Jesse's help, she's done a fantastic job putting up a sign for us where you can go and click on a QR code and bang, you're right in there. It'll ask you what dates you want to come in, what dates you're leaving, and you fill out the blanks. So we've been very, very busy this last season to a point where I've converted the Greenfield over into a group camp. If you come in there on the weekends, you'll notice that every campsite, I'm talking 44 of them, has been filled, and we've opened up a campground. Depending on the weather, if it's raining, we're not going to cut up a bunch of ruts in that field. But other than that, we've had 2 or 3 groups in there on the long weekends especially. So this place is getting very busy. And next year, we're planning to provide some help for some of the new clubs that's in the community. To come pick up pop bottles, please come pick them up, sort them out, take them in. The money is yours. Basically, we just don't have the manpower and the people to cover that base. Now we are going after some grant applications for a new attendant for this year, and I'm thinking more a university student to kind of head up that little team, and a local secondary school student to help. They may look after what I call the morning shift, the afternoon shift, and I'll look after the night shift and the emergency callouts. So we need some help, and we need some influx of money. If you look at going back to 2011, they were charging $20 a night then for campsites, and we're still charging $20 a night. Please, I need your help. So that's all I'll say on that matter. Mayor, do you want to address questions on that, or all at the end? You have
No,
any questions?
we'll do them at the end.
Okay.
If that's all right with you.
Okay, the other thing is a lease agreement we have with the district. And there's some ambiguity associated with the lease agreement in terms of being more specific. Where we would like to see this lease agreement, and ours comes due December 2024. So I will be submitting a proposal on where we head with this. But the wording needs to be amended, even on the tail end of this one. It needs to read that the Lions Club will pay to the district 20% of net revenue collected from the campsite fees. Net revenue. Some people are interpreting that to say gross revenue. Well, if our net revenue is $21,000, that's not a lot left at the end of the day. It makes you question why would we want to be involved in managing such a nice facility, but a facility that takes a whole lot of time. So I'm hoping that the council can instill some correct wording for clarification on that, so that we pay 20% of net value, not gross revenues. And that's pretty much where I can leave it, I think.
Yep, sounds good. So thank you very much for coming in. I know we've had a chat, and I'm glad you came in as a delegation. And I'll be honest, we won't make any decisions tonight. I know there'll be some motions made tonight, but it won't be motions in my thoughts. The ones I have that'll be to fix these tonight is to get some of the information back in front of council, fee and service bylaw and stuff, where we can make changes, which will help. I would believe would help that. Yeah. We just need to confirm that with staff. So I did reach out to staff after we had a talk and to find out when the agreement had switched to this agreement. It was in 2015.
2015.
2015 is when it switched to the net. Why, I'm not sure.
I got asked the question, why did my predecessor sign it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, everybody just assumed that same agreement carried on. Because I know when I was part of the, I'm still a member of the Lions, but when I was, more of an active member of the Lions Club, I used to camp down there all the time. And I was like, if we're going to have our name on it, we need to take it back or take our name off of it, right? Okay. So back then it was that we could do any upkeep or repairs needed. And after the end of the day, we would only share after that was all paid for. And I still read that in the contract today that you can do upgrades and repairs as needed. So I know you're talking about a building, and we've had that fairly in-depth conversation. Haven't had a chance to actually bring staff on about it just to find out more about it. But to me, when I read that contract, that's what it stated in there. You can still do it. So we just need to get some clarity. But I just wanted to be honest with you that there'd be no decision made tonight with the delegation. But council will have some questions for sure. Council Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Krakowka. So I don't want to leave too much of council in the dark because I know we've talked privately, and I want to make sure everyone's included. So you're speaking about the change that you're looking to make in the cost, the payment back to the district. To your knowledge, has that ever been based on the gross revenue, or has it always been based on the net?
For the last 7 or 8 years, it's been based on the net. When I asked that question to my predecessor, we've never, in his recollection, paid on the gross.
And fair. I mean, if that's if that's how it's always been done, that's how it's been done, right? So I get that. And like from in my perspective, the Lions Club is an amazing organization that gives back almost everything it gets back to the community. So I have no interest in trying to wrangle as much money as I can out of you guys, because it's going to inhibit your ability to help local people. And I've seen that process of how the Lions are very giving when it comes to people's needs and wants, and everything from medical needs. The Lions are the quickest people to give that money out, right? So I applaud you guys for all that, and I want to keep that good work going. I did have a question about the maintenance of the building. You said, to give some background, from what I understand, you the Lions Club had arrangements already in place to start the maintenance of that building before it was halted. Were you given any like timelines on when that would be accomplished, or like can you talk a little more about how that went? Because it sounded like you had a plan already, and then it was just
Yeah, we had a plan already. When I presented to the district, I had what I call a short-term plan, which included basically removing the molded drywall within that building, fixing the ceiling, separating off the janitorial supplies, which has chemicals, from where we keep the freezers and refrigerators. I mean, we're talking food safe here, and although everything's in a freezer or in a refrigerator, still janitorial supplies and chemicals don't belong with food. So we wanted to put up a wall there, just a simple stud wall, put up shelving, have a little bit of a bench there maybe for doing some work around the campsite. And we were willing to do that. We had a quote of $2,200 to do that work. I took it to the board of directors at the Lions Club. It was approved. In addition to the labor work to do that with a contractor that's very well known in the town here, has been working in many different jobs, including I think when the Legion was one of the last projects that he worked on. He was ready to come in here December 1 and get that done. So we would have had drywall replaced, we would have had the wall put up, we would have had shelves built, we would have had a concrete this busted and cracked, would have been gouged and rebar poured in there and grout put in, and been able to get it set up where I had a little office in there. The idea of the office, with my predecessor, this is definitely his last year down there, right? All of you guys know the family, and they have their own personal problems right now. He'll be back next year to camp, but he won't be back as a campsite attendant. So in the interim, we're without a trailer. And I was planning to use that building, to use it as a bit of an office space, not something complicated and decor out the yin-yang, basically a desk in the corner, a window so I could see out to the playground, because those little gaffers like to climb right up on top of the roof. It's not only just on the playground, it's on top of the roof. We put all kinds of extra signage up there. Also, I'd like to see who's coming into that lower campground. We had a group in there, and their caterer came in and breezing in there, and I immediately went over and I said, "Lady, sorry, but you know how fast you're going?" She said, "I don't know, maybe 30 kilometers an hour." I says, "You pass at least 3 signs that says maximum of 10 kilometers an hour. Please slow down. We have children in here." So there's some, there's some of that goes on, and some of that as the administrator, I manage the best that I can. But I have a wife and a family, and I can't live down there city either. So basically, we had an idea for the short-term work, which would have been done by the end of the calendar year, paid for by the Lions Club. Our own Lions Club members would be painting that up next spring as soon as it turned warm, so we weren't incurring any extra costs for the contractor. He done the work. He had a structural design, so we could see exactly what we were getting. I think he was very professional in his approach, and not only the board of directors, but the membership agreed to bringing this guy in. The second phase is what I call a 3-year plan. Anybody who's applied for funding, they like to break it up, year 1, year 2, year 3, what are you doing? Well, year 1, we wanted to level out some of the top campground area, get rid of the stumps and the rocks, and open that up. We could have easy 2 more campsites up there, more money for you guys and for the Lions Club as well. We could have that done. Year 2, I wanted to level off some of the ground in where the existing campground attendants trailer sat and across the way, and make a decent path going down to the lower campground so we can move our equipment back and forth rather than going around and in the line of traffic. And of course, year 3 had to do more with building something. I guess I heard Manda talk about the log cabin being, everyone likes a log cabin. I'd like to put something up like that. Maybe not a log cabin, but something that looks like a log cabin instead of having a trailer there. Put a nice veranda around it. That ultimately could be the office campground tenants at some point in time. But initially, we have to crawl before we walk. So we need that main building, and we need it by the time we open up in the spring. And there's no timeline. Mayor, you asked if there was a timeline on when this renovation was going to happen or when the work was going to happen. The last I heard from the district, Basically, they had, I think it was three groups going in to evaluate it and put in reports. And I've not heard anything from the CAO since that.
I got Councillor Juick, then Councillor Hoffman.
Hi, I know the challenges of running an RV park. So I appreciate all the things that you said here. So I just wanted to get some clarification. So currently your contract shows gross revenue?
Well, it's ambiguous. If you, I didn't bring a contract with me, but it depends if the district reads it, it says gross, sorry, if the CFO reads it, it says gross revenue, gross all revenues. If our predecessor read it and had what he thought was there, it was supposed to read net revenue from the campsites, not all revenue. We sell wood as an example. That's not part of this revenue.
Right, okay, good. And I would say, if your agreement expires in 2024, yeah, I would certainly love to have it be brought before council so that we've got lots of time to go through the things that you would like to see change.
When would you expect to have this first proposal in place? What's a good time for you guys?
We could definitely discuss that after this, because I think we can't make any decisions here, but I feel like there's some changes there and sometimes those take time. And so, I'm glad that you've come in well in advance of that. And I appreciate the concerns you've brought forward, because I absolutely know what you're talking about. So thanks very much, Bob.
Okay.
Councillor Hoffman?
Thank you, Mayor. Good, I guess, evening, Mr. Grimes. I'm just looking at, if you're telling me the going rate's $30 to $40, and with the facilities that we have there, why aren't you asking for a $40 a night, especially if you're planning on expanding and,
Well, part of the pushback was with the district, because they said, well, the council's not gonna like that because they don't wanna be, they don't wanna have their local residents pay any more than $20 a night. And I said, hold the bus. You know, we don't get that many people from Tumbler Ridge going in there. It's mostly Grand Prairie, guys with boats. You know, we're already giving them a deal. We charge them only $20 a night, and then they can bring a second vehicle with a boat, and if it fits on the lot, we don't charge them anymore. A lot of these guys are charging 40, and they're charging at least 50% more if you have two vehicles. There's much more that we could do to garner some revenue here.
okay, speaking for myself as 1/7 of what's sitting up here, I actually would like to hear the variations that you're talking about. I mean, from what you're telling me, I don't mind a $20 for a local a night clause for residents. I don't mind a $40 a night plus extras. If you want to put the time and effort in upgrading that campground, increasing slots, facilities, ability to do, I am open and willing to listen to whatever it is, because it doesn't seem like a whole lot to me for even the direct area or even the greater surrounding area. If you're talking about $40 a night for basically whatever you want to do. If you're telling me that the occupancy rates are high, that we're basically busy from beginning to end of season, and I'm sure there's nights in between, and Tuesday's not the biggest day, like I get that. But if you're essentially full during weekends, Fridays to Mondays, say, I would love to have the opportunity to expand. I'd love to have the opportunity to grow. And I don't think this is really enough for a full facility site to just say $30 a night and we're done. So I don't know.
Often the other thing that I had suggested early on is to expand it. I mean, it's all Crown land. And we could easily expand from 44 campsites to 50. Take it a step at a time, take it a bit at a time. But there's lots of things we could do to make this campsite even a better place to be.
So what's holding up the expansions? Do you need permission for specific expansions from us or from?
The district hasn't given me that permission.
Is it okay, I'll consult with Steph, but I'm not sure it's the district. If it's Crown land, I'm not sure it's the district's choice on that, but we can definitely look into that.
Fine, yep.
But no, I would like to see options if you have them for whatever the nightly rate is, whatever the local rate is, whatever the extras are. Obviously, this isn't coming up for a year, but it's plenty of time to talk about what sort of revenue increase you're looking for and what sort of expansions you want to do.
Thank you.
Okay, I got myself and then Councillor Noxana. So I'll just just in regards to expansion, we got to be very careful down there. There's TLE selections at this point that have not been 100% finalized. So that could be where, I mean, I can't speak for staff, but they are aware of it. It's an open document. It's on, it's definitely out there in regards to the TLE and the spots that have been selected around Flatbed Campground. So that's open knowledge. I can get you a map later on. I'll supply you the map. It hasn't 100% gone through the government yet, but it has been a TLE selection by the First Nations.
Yeah, I've not gone that far with it, Mayor.
Yeah, so just so aware of that. And I guess I'll make a comment, and my comment is like, again, I think, council needs to look at the fee-for-service bylaw, which affects that contract. And to me, I don't want to stipulate that it's $20 for whether you're a resident of Tumbler Ridge or it's $40 from out of town. I think, to me, when we look at it, we can set a max and then leave it up to organizations, whether it's Lions Club or other organizations that run other campgrounds. Sure. That's just a thought on that. I mean, just like Councilor Norbury said, like to me, when we look at the burnout in regards to burnout of volunteers, and it was one of the discussions that happened in regards to the elections, and to me, when we're sitting here and discussing about taking money, or we want all revenue for whether it's from wood, shower, all that. Wood was never sold down there at one point. That was something that was brought in by the Lions Club.
I see.
The wood shelter was built by the Lions Club out of the campsite amount of money before it was shared to the district. Right? So like I'm well aware of that.
Yes.
Same with the siding on the buildings. We did all the renovations to the campground that was needed every year, and then it was shared after that.
Yes.
It was profit sharing.
Yeah.
Profits after
Profits,
gross
yeah.
profit.
Gross profits.
After your expenses.
After expenses, that's fine. I mean,
Right? That's how it was written at previously. Or that's how it was read previously. I shouldn't say it was written, but that's how it was read when I first came into the community. So I think we just need to look at it. I think that's going to be a direction we give to staff. Council's job is definitely not to go into the contracts and dig through them and start adding things and stuff. But it doesn't mean we can't have staff go through it, bring some proposals back to council and debate it at a PMP. But just so you're aware, to me, that's the process we will probably follow.
Sure.
Councilor Noxana.
I more have a comment than a question. I think everybody in town, hopefully in this room, can see the value in having the Lions Club in Tumbler Ridge.
Well, thank you.
They've been a cornerstone of our community for a long time, so I think we're all in agreement that we're looking forward to sorting out your contract issues.
Just for interest's sake,
Yeah.
we've donated over $60,000 this year. And that goes for many things, and I'm not going to start listing them because many of you know already where we spent that money, but that's significant coin in my books.
I actually, when I read through the agenda package this weekend, just tried to think of the things the Lions have contributed to, and I can't make a list because it's everywhere if you look around the community.
I have a list I can share with you if you want.
It's probably really long, so I think we're all really looking forward to sorting this out with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions from council? All right, thanks very much, Mr. Rhymes. I'll reach back out to you. I think, once we hear back from staff, I'll chat with you offline, but we'll have staff reach out too, like once we talk. But, I'll make sure you know that we are moving forward with. So anytime we have something coming on our agenda that may affect or has that you can see that we're working on it, I'll make sure you know so you can either read the agenda online or you can come and partake in the meeting.
Thank you very much.
You bet, thank you. So, sorry, Councilor Norbury. Okay. Thanks again. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Krakowka. So I'd like to make a few motions to get this, some of these items on our radar. And I have them typed up, so I'll send them out to staff. So that staff bring the Lions Club lease to the next available PPC meeting.
Okay, seconder. Councilor Clickash? Discussion? Councilor Norbury?
My intent isn't next week, but when we can fit it in. That's where I'm at.
Okay, any more discussion on that? Okay, call the question. All in favor? Carried. Councilor Norbury?
That staff bring the fees and charges bylaw Schedule A to the next available PPC meeting.
Okay, seconder. Councilor Clickash? Discussion? Ms. Torval?
Thank you, Council, Mayor and Council. Just so the Council is aware, staff is already working on the fees and charges bylaw amendments. We are doing a review of all three of the district's campground fees, And we will be coming, there is a report on the next PPC meeting next week with regards to the Monkman RV Park and whether council will entertain staying over winter, because we do have long-term people out there, even though the campground is closed. We don't have an operator there. So that'll be coming for your consideration so that we can have better direction as to how to bring forth some recommended amendments to the campsite fees. So just for council's information, we are working on it. It didn't get lost on us.
Councilor Norbury?
I'm happy to defeat it then if it's already in the works. Don't want to
Okay.
double up on efforts.
Yeah, and I don't actually, I'm just looking for Schedule A. I think they need to come forward because we also talked about the golf course. So I know you're bringing it forward, and I know staff's working, but to me, if we get it, that way council has some input, so we're, to me, instead of getting a report, if it comes forward, if council's looking for certain amounts or whatever, it can be done then, before staff works a whole bunch on whether it's the golf course, the lines, Monkman, or other ones, because there's other fee-for-services in there that have been discussed around council. So even if we just have this sheet that comes forward, and then we can discuss that in regards to the agenda review, that we have the whole fee-for-service amounts out, just so that if there's something else with that PMP that council wants to discuss, we can talk about that. So, whether you, I don't think you defeat it. I think we put it forward, and that way it'll all come forward. That's up to you. If you don't want to vote in favor, that's up to you. Any more discussion? Councilor Norbury?
Just to clarify, my motion is Schedule A only.
Yep,
What
that's
I
fine.
have there, so.
That's fine. Any more discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Councilor Norbury?
The last one is that staff prepares a report outlining the proposed renovations and changes to the TR Flatbed Campground with a timeline of completion.
Seconder? Councilor Klickash, discussion. Councilor Julik?
So I guess what I'm wondering, is that not already being done?
Mr. Orville?
Sorry, what was the question regarding?
Questions regarding the building that the lines are talking about in regards to the main building with the bathrooms. I know there was a meeting that was held with staff. You may not have been involved in that meeting.
That is correct. I was not privy to that meeting, so I don't have the information, so I can't answer.
Okay.
But I definitely will look into it, and if a report is required, then we'll work on it.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Julik, follow up?
So I guess what I'm looking for then is clarity from somebody that, what I understood Mr. Rhymes to be talking about tonight was for the maintenance building, not the shower washroom structure, so.
Same building.
It's the same building?
Same building. So the bathrooms are on the handicaps on the one side, the male and female on the opposite side, and in between that, that's where they house their freezers, and there's other stuff in there, but it is that is their maintenance building. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Krakowka. And just to give a little explanation on what I'm looking for, it's, we had them, we heard from Mr. Rhymes that they had a plan, and they had expectations and dates when this would be completed. And I think it's a good thing for us to go back to them and say, like, okay, well, we're taking this on. This is when we're going to have it done, right? And I'd like to make sure that we have a plan for when this is done. Yeah.
I guess my discussion was there, for sure, if we could have something, I think we give Mr. Orville some time to have a look or have some dialogue on that meeting. But my concern is if we have a Lions Club, an organization that's over running a campground on behalf of the district, and obviously for their organization as well, and are willing to do it, and it's within their contract to do these renovations or updates, upkeep. It says right in there, I read it fairly thoroughly. I actually read it with the intern CAO. To me, I don't understand why we're holding them up. If they're willing to pay for it, non-taxation dollars, they're willing to use their own funds from the park that they're running. To me, that's what I want to see, not the timelines the district's going to do it. To me, there's the partnership that the Lions is looking for. They're coming in, they brought the plans into the district, showed what they were going to do and why they were doing because of the mold and all this other stuff, and we've stopped it. And to me, that's what I want to see is there a reason? Is there a legal implication of why we would do that? That's what I would like to know first. Because to me, when an organization wants to take and have the ownership and the pride in that, which that park has been upgraded yearly, whether it's the signage, the camp stalls, down below their covered gazebos have been redone, the barbecue fire pit's been redone, To me, that was money that they raised during the camp stalls before they shared it with the district. I think to me, when we see an organization wanting to do that, I think they take pride in that, and I don't think we should be stopping that. Councillor Jilic.
I'm just going to take a breath. I think we need to be careful as we start talking about this kind of thing, and we need a lot more information, because that campground still belongs to the District of Tumbler Ridge. The Lions Club has, in its own words tonight, talked about them having membership issues. I say issues, that's not the word I'd like to use, but I don't have a better one right now. My concern being, to get to the bottom of it, my concern being if that belongs to the District of Tumbler Ridge and the Lions Club is taking stuff on that ultimately is the responsibility of the District of Tumbler Ridge, we need to be careful. We got into that at the museum. The museum was taking care of their own building maintenance and stuff, and then we had a report come and say, that's not their job and that's our job. So I absolutely agree the Lions do an amazing job out there. Ultimately, it's not their property, it's ours. And we need to be careful about what we're doing. And that building, I personally think we need to tear it down and start from scratch. It's a freaking old building and it needs some upgrades. And I don't think that should come at the expense of the Lions. So I appreciate what Councillor Norbury is asking for, and I don't disagree with that. I just think maybe we need to take a better look at it, and now is a good time to get starting because we don't have to open until May. You know, like I don't know if that, you know, obviously there's lots of moving pieces in it, but I think that we need to be careful when we're talking about it and asking for stuff to move forward when maybe it's not a matter of repairing that building, it's a matter of doing something different. So I want to support the Lions Club while making sure we're taking care of the District of Tumbler Ridge's assets.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you in regards to Tumbler Ridge assets, but again, in their contract what it states, and I read it fairly thoroughly, you can pull it offline if you like. My thing is I don't think we're asking, or I'm not looking at it, like, again, that's why I want that information from staff side of this meeting. Is there legal implications there? And is that why, you know, it was stopped at that point? And I believe that's somewhat, it was what I read into that motion that Councillor Norbury has put on the floor, is getting that information back. And there was supposed to be some timelines, my understanding, from Mr. Rhymes, and when staff was going to inform the Lions on the process and the progress of whether it was their inspections or whatever, and I believe that's what Councilor Norbury's motion is looking for. Again, to me, I think our intern CEO needs to have the opportunity to find this information out if it wasn't involved in the meeting, just to see where that information was at, because I'm not aware either. I mean, obviously, I've had a conversation with the president of the Lions Club. That's all I've had. So, Councilor Norbury and then Councilor Jilic.
Thank you, Mayor Krakowka. So, you know, the merits of a new building, old building, right? Like I think the plan right now is short term, and that's what the Lions are looking for. Definitely open to the idea of having a longer term solution, but you know, the amount of time that it takes to tear down a building and build a new one can be long, right? So I'm looking for something short term. And like this motion that I'm making, staff can take and go as far and bring back as little as they want to us, right? I'm looking for the proposed changes that were given to the Lions Club, like what they said they would do, and just have a timeline for how long that's going to take. And in that they could say like this, we shouldn't be wasting any money on this building because it's, you know, we'll use the old visitor center that's now the Geo-Interpretive Center, right? Like that was taken down quite a few years ago. And we still don't have a replaced building there yet. So that's an example of the amount of time that could take for a whole new building. So I'd like to see something back to us about what's going on down there.
Councilor Jilic.
I wasn't clear enough, I guess. My concern about telling the Lions Club to go ahead with the repairs at their expense is what concerns me. If, you know, like if that's in their contract, I'm wondering why it is. Do we have any other leaseholders that are allowed to go ahead and change our property within their lease? Like that would be one of my concerns. And because when I found out that they were the ones who replaced the playground, that surprised me. That they want to make changes to the campground, adding spots and whatnot. What does that look like? Does our lease allow them to do that? That concerns me. because they aren't in the business of just for lots of different reasons. Not that I think anything would ever be ill will. So those are my concerns. So I'm grateful that we have the opportunity, or that we're asking for the opportunity to have the other, or to have their lease brought forward. And I'll actually be asking in another motion that we have the other two campgrounds, their operating leases as well, so that when we do it, we compare it, because I don't think that it's reasonable for us to expect that we have three assets that we run differently.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on. Councillor Julich, sorry.
Just while we're doing this, I guess to add to the first I would like to make a motion that and maybe Miss Torville will have a different way of doing this, or maybe I don't need to make motion. I would like to have the other two campground lease agreements at the same time as the Lions, so that we can compare them, if that would be beneficial. So I'm wondering if...
We can have staff get them, and there's only one, right? The other one down the golf course is ran by the district.
Okay,
That's just around, so none of
okay, and that's fine, then.
we can get
Let's-
them. They can print them out. I mean, they are available online.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to be aware that's how I got mine, was online, not from staff. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Recommendation, please. Councilor Norbury.
That all items in the November 6th, 2023 consent agenda be moved for information.
Seconder. Councilor Dussault. All in favor? Carried. Are there any items that council would like to bring forward? Councilor Norbury.
7.2, Minister of Citizen Services, for discussion.
Seconder. Councilor Noxana. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Krakowka. So it's really great to hear back from the Ministry of Citizen Services. High-speed internet is a bit of an exciting thing for our community and myself personally. And in this letter to us, they've suggested that we reach out to Rogers Communications, and which I think is a great idea, in that part of a subcommittee I'm on with the regional district, Rogers is planning a rollout of infrastructure into our area. And in some quick conversations with the Rogers representatives, they would definitely be open to having conversations about how they can assist in servicing our area. From my understanding, they are going to be building new infrastructure into the northeast. So I think this is a great opportunity for everybody involved to talk to Rogers about how we can bring them in and help us out with our mobility and connectivity and stuff like that. So, yeah, I have a motion, if that's okay.
Please.
Pull it up. For staff to reach out to Rogers Communications to invite them to a PPC meeting to discuss connectivity in our area, mobility/internet.
Okay. Seconder. Councilor Noxana. Discussion. I'm assuming you're going to email that to staff? Okay. So my comments would be just that. I mean, I think when we went down to the UBCM and met with the minister, they had information for us, and they're willing to let us, ask the questions, but we let them speak, and I believe this is what she was talking about when they said how that process through the PRD with the starting, and obviously that's who's coming in up in that area is going to be Rogers, that it would be a benefit to Tumbler Ridge in a way of being able to finish some of the infrastructure around our community. So I think having that motion to have them come in just so that we have some dialogue at the beginning, so that maybe we can see the process go forward. Councilor Norbury?
And just for staff's awareness, I do have a couple of other email addresses if we don't get a response from Mrs. Cathcart. So we don't want to lose that, so they can contact me if necessary. Thanks.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Is there anything else? I'll just bring it forward, and it's 7.3 for discussion. Councilor Noxana, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. So again, this is just to update council that we've been invited to attend Tumbler Ridge Secondary Remembrance Day Assembly on Friday, November 10th at 10:45 a.m. Knowing that we have a workshop, council's well aware that, you know, we're going to try and do a break at the same time. So if everybody's available and wants to go down to the high school, we can go down as a group. Okay, moving on. Any other discussion? I'm sorry. I think I probably just covered that. Okay. 8.1 for bylaws, revenue anticipation borrowing bylaw number 729, 2023 adoption. Report dated November 6, 2023 from the Deputy Corporate Officer presenting the revenue anticipation borrowing bylaw number 729, 2023 for adoption. Councillor Julich.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw Number 729, 2023 be adopted as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Dussault. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Public notice bylaw number 730, 2023. Report dated November 6, 2023 from Director of Corporate Services presenting the public notice bylaw number 730, 2023 for 3 readings. First recommendation, please. Councillor Noxena.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Public Notice Bylaw 730, 2023 be read for a first time.
Seconder. Councillor Hoffman. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Second recommendation. Councillor Norbury.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Public Notice Bylaw number 730, 2023 be read a second time.
Seconder. Councillor Clickash. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Third recommendation. Councillor Dussault.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Public Notice Bylaw Number 730, 2023 be read a third time.
Seconder. Councillor Noxana. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. 8.3, fees and charges bylaw amendment number 731, 2023. Report dated November 6, 2023 from Deputy Corporate Officer requesting 3 readings of the fees and charges amendment bylaw. Take the first recommendation, please. Councillor Julich.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw Number 731, 2023 is read a first time.
Seconder. Councillor Noxana. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Second recommendation, Councillor Noxana.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw Number 731, 2023 is read a second time.
Seconder, Councillor Dussault. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Recommendation number 3, Councillor Dussault.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw Number 731, 2023 is read a third time.
Seconder, Councillor Clickash. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. New business, NDIT grant application support, business facade improvement program for 2024. Report dated November 6, 2023 from the Director of Economic and Community Development requesting a resolution of support for the NDIT 2024 business facade program. Recommendation, please, Councillor Julich.
The council approves the grant application by resolution for the Business Facade Improvement Program through the Northern Development Initiative Trust for up to $20,000.
Seconder, Councillor Clickash. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. 2024 council meeting schedule. Report dated November 6, 2023 from the Deputy Corporate Officer seeking the approval of the 2024 council meeting schedule. Councillor Norbury.
The council approves the 2024 council meeting schedule as presented.
Seconder, Councillor Clickash. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. 9.3 Trend Mountain Conference Center Policy, TR 46. Report dated November 6, 2023, from Director of Corporate Services, requesting the Trend Mountain Conference Center Policy, TR 46, be rescinded. Recommendation, please. Councillor Noxana.
That the Trend Mountain Conference Center Policy TR 46 be rescinded.
Seconder, Councillor Hoffman. Discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Schedule of meetings. Any concern from council? Councillor Julik?
December 12th, a special meeting? I'm just curious, I didn't know we were having one.
Sorry, I was at the other one. I'm going to assume that's going to be our budget meeting. That'd be a budget meeting. Okay, any other concerns or questions? Okay. Any notice of motions? Okay, Councillor's business. Thanks to Councillor Desault, Councillor Julik, Councillor Clickash, Councillor Norbury, Councillor Desault. Anybody want to have anything to discuss? Councillor Desault.
I attended the Tumbler Ridge Museum Foundation inland party on the Saturday. It was quite good. There was a few people out and lots of bidding on the items, and it was a good time.
Good to hear. Thanks for going. I was unavailable. I know I did reach out to somebody. It was late, but yeah, I was unable to make that. It was just, I had too much going on. Any council business from council? I actually attended the U18 opening ceremonies yesterday on behalf of the district, invited by the Mayor Dober of Dawson Creek. What an excellent job they did, to be honest. It was Alberta and Ontario Red played before BC and Ontario Blue. And it was quite full in there for that game, but even for the BC, the late game was good. But they did a really, really nice job in the opening ceremonies. Team BC won last night. Our hometown girls scored 2 goals and an assist. So it was good to see. And then they were here for practice on the Saturday, and the same thing. We had people in the stands. And I think it's great to see one of our own local young ladies on a U18 women's team. So hopefully Team BC can pull it off and have a good week of hockey. I will be, and I'll be reaching out to Councillor Desault. I will be meeting with hopefully the museum sometime next week. Just trying to set up a time that works for them as well. And that's just to discuss from the UBCM, from our tourism meeting. I just want to have a discussion before some stuff comes out in council meetings and stuff like that. I think eventually we're going to see some information coming forward, so I just want to make sure they're updated on that so they hear it from us. Okay, council, nothing else from council? Okay, that's all I got. Any questions, Mr. Orville?
No, there is none.
Okay, thank you. Resolution to close. Councilor Norbury?
That the November 6, 2023 regular council meeting be closed to the public according to Section 91J of the Community Charter to permit discussions about J, information that is prohibited or information that if were presented in a document would be prohibited from the disclosure under Section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act.
Seconder, Councilor Desault, all in favor? Carried. 5-minute recess.